Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
No, I can't even hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sam. Just an introduction. There are 18 mitzvahs in this parsha, and all of them, a good part of them are, all of them related to the avodah in the Mishkan and the Beis Hamikdash, and a lot of them center around the carbon mitzvah. So you have, first there's the Hormas Hadeshin to clean up the Mizbeach, that makes fire, there's a fire, and make sure the fire is not extinguished, and that the Kohanim, then it starts the mitzvahs of the regarding the Kohanim and the carbon mitzvah. One is that the Kohanim get to eat after they did the Kamisah, they take a handful off of the flour of the mincha and they put it on the Mizbeach, the Kohanim can eat the rest of it. Also, make sure that the rest with the carbon the mincha should not become chometz. Also, that the kohen gadol has to bring the carbon mincha every day. It's part of the avodah. The kohen if a kohen brings a carbon mincha because it's part of his chanukas kohanim, it's not nobody eats it. And then there's carbon chatos, and then the rest of the carbonas that are relative, and for every carbon, has to be carbon mincha. Now, at the end of last parsha, we talk about the connection. The last parsha the last piece of Parshas Vayikra was the carbon chatas of Dal Shabdalim. The most poorest of all the poorest carbon minchas is
What do you want?
Of the carbon chatas of the most poorest of Jews is a carbon mincha. Unadulterated, unadded, unfiltered, and not mixed. Nothing but the flour. No, not even in oil.
Oh, really?
Not even in oil.
It's just flour.
And there's more.
Just flour. Just flour.
Just flour.
Oh, wow.
Why? Because it's chatos.
Right.
Chatos. And we know, so as I'll tell us that out of all of the carbonas that we have, the basic, the foundation for all carbonas is a carbon mincha. The mincha has to pretend that every carbon has to be brought together with mincha, and it is so basic that even the poorest of poor Jews who need the carbon chatas, the mincha is the bottom line. So it's the bottom line, and it must be present in every single carbon. Soita brings a chatas. But she brings a chatas. Where does she bring? Carbon mincha. But there she brings mincha starter out of barley. And you're getting to the next point is that you see how important grain is that we get the matzah. Again, it can't be mixed with oil. It can't be it can't become chametz, right? Yeah, so what's really saying is that the carbon mincha is so important that it must be the highest of the carbonas, because you can't have a carbon without a mincha. You can have a goat and a lamb and a cow
and a sheep.
And a sheep, right? But you got to have a mincha.
Oh, calm down sheep.
Calm down sheep.
A calm down cow.
So then it pays for us to, as we're starting to prepare for Pesach, to think about this whole concept of carbon mincha. Mm-hmm. The Kli Yakar, how do we get onto this? Because there's a Kli Yakar here, which is a fairly long Kli Yakar, who goes into the importance of a carbon mincha, goes into this importance of how it is so essential that it becomes the food of Cheres. Right? The Klal Yisrael goes out of Cheres, goes out of Avdus, goes into Cheres, matzah. So matzah and its basic as represents the basic, the most the level. Lechem oini, that's not including the current price of matzahs. And current price of matzah, the only way that gets to lechem oini is that it makes you poor by eating huh?
The rate was $72 a pound.
So you become an oini as soon as you get more than 1 pound.
Okay. That pound means.
Yeah.
It's not even a pound anymore. For shlemim, it's 10 matzahs.
10 shlim.
Shlemim. They make it.
If they right, there are only 2 exceptions to this in all of Torah, which is the carbon Torah. Carbon Torah, the person has to bring 40 loaves, out of which 10 can be chametz. And the shtei lechem for Shavuos. They made special too as part of the carbon for Shavuos, which represents Torah. So he goes into why the carbon, why on Shavuos, and why a carbon Torah would have to have chametz. And he says because you can't since chametz represents the Yetzer Hara, so should be Isa. Right? It's the leavening that's in the flour, which expands and beautifies and makes attractive, and more digestible, makes a more connection to Olam Haza. He says you have to have a Yetzer Hara to do mitzvahs. If you don't have a Yetzer Hara, there's no schar for mitzvahs. Hashem created the bechira, and in order to have bechira, it means that we have to have that which tells us don't do mitzvahs, don't learn Torah. So therefore, in order to be able to show the Matan Torah, that we have schar for Matan Torah, therefore you have to bring shtei alechem, that to be chametz. So that you should be able to know that when we're celebrating, when we're rejoicing with the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah on our Sinai, Hashem made sure that we had the Yetzer Hara. So it becomes this balance between Tov and Ra, which is represented by chametz and matzah. And he says that's why the 2 words are so similar. The only difference is the little drop of ink between the hey and the ches. Right? Hey, matzah is mem tzadik hey, and chametz is ches mem tzadik. And the only difference is the mem and the hey, and it's a drop of ink. Separates between the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. And therefore, if we talk about what brings us close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is that we have, the Torah gives us the opportunity to show us how not to get caught up in the Yetzer Hara. Cheres, freedom. It's cheres min ha'yamid. When we received Torah, we had cheres min ha'misa, cheres min ha'malach ha'mavas, cheres min ha'malchus. Oh, malchus. Torah gives us freedom because it tells us how not to get caught up in the chametz. And that little bit says it's unique to Klal Yisrael. The rest of the nations of the world do not have that. They have the Yetzer Hara. They may have somewhat of a Yetzer Tov, but not the ability to be able to reject the Yetzer Hara. To be able to say that we are able to we get the schar by overcoming the Yetzer Hara and going down to the basic level of what we call the absolute bottom of a carbon mincha, which is matzah. Because the matzah is that carbon mincha, which is at the dal shabadalas. No flavors added. There's even a day that when you eat make a mitzvah, you have to have salt. So there's a day that on matzah you shouldn't put salt because it enhances the flavor. We don't pass that way, but there's a day like that. I do know somebody who passes that way. No.
Dipping.
Even when they make hamotzi with the seder, they won't put salt on the matzah.
I don't know.
Yeah, matzah. They don't put salt on the matzah.
We don't put salt on it. We don't put salt on it. It's not matzah. Yeah.
You eat the matzah.
You eat the matzah, and then we don't do a salt.
Yeah.
I think that's on purpose, but that's
no. It's on purpose because there's a day that salt enhances the flavor, and matzah is not to be enhanced because it represents the opposite of being being connected to the Yetzer Hara. So there's another whole smoothness. It's David Cohn's has a long, it's pages and pages of Torah on it. Where does it all come from? Where's the Yetzer Hara built into our world? We can say, okay, Yetzer Hara is this Parah in the world, it's Dim Shemaim, it's a Malach that tries to trick us. This isn't more basic than that. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Shemaim Ba'aretz, Hashem told the earth, Hache Eretz Desha, and it should make eitz pri oisa pri. Should make a trees where the wood tastes like the fruit itself. And as Rashi brings the measures, really also okay. The earth did not follow instructions. It didn't follow instructions. It made fruit trees, but not fruit trees bearing fruit. It made trees bearing fruit, but not fruit trees bearing fruit. And in fact, there is only one type of tree that you can taste the fruit of the fruit in the leaves. That's the Asher.
Isn't that the rye? That's one of the ryes.
If you break open a leaf of estrog leaf, you get the taste of an estrog. What?
A fig.
No, the tree doesn't taste like it.
The sap and the leaves.
Sap, but not the wood. Not the wood. Some say it's the fig because that's the other day that it's a part of the Yetzer Hara. Right? So that's why when Adam and Chava ate from the Eitz Hadas, right? So the bunch of Arur ha'adama bavurech. The earth is being cursed because of you. Why? Because the earth knew, or that was the plan for creation, is that the very essence which would create, which HaKadosh Baruch would use to create man, Adam, Afar min Adama, and the Afar didn't listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Hashem said, I don't want you to listen. I want you to be the basis for the Yetzer Hara, for the physical world. But he lost again. She didn't do that. She did what she was responsible not to do. Therefore, the earth was cursed for it, because once Adam used it for Yetzer Hara, so now the Yetzer Hara is in everything in the physical world. Anything that grows has in it within it a Yetzer Hara. You can like it, you can want it, you can shmak, you can get lost, you can forget about all of the rest of the pleasures of this world. Time, you think the Kegel's ready?
No.
Another 5 minutes. Okay, good. We don't have to get caught up in the Yetzer Hara yet. So there's a very, very, very cute story told about Yitzchak Hutner's Chazal Kibach. When he went to Slobodka, he went to learn Slobodka. He came to Slobodka, the ultimate Slobodka. He was I think 14 years old. He was a genius. So he went and he prepared Slobodka, took him in and gave him a standard, told him go sit there and find a chavrusa. After 3 months, the Alter with the vodka went over to him. He said, "No, you found a chavrusa." He says, "Only in the afternoon." And who do you learn with in the morning? He says, "I have chavrusas." He says, "Who's your chavrusa in the afternoon? I have this chavrusa. Who's your chavrusa in the morning?" This is my Yetzer Hara. He says, "You learn with Yetzer Hara? Why don't you say you're learning with Yetzer Hara?" He says, "Yetzer Hara is smarter." It's a smart. It's a clear. Good, very good. I'm glad that. So the whole process of which we have the energy to do mitzvahs is that we're energized by the Yetzer Hara that was put into our world, so we should be able to fight and have schar. So the fact that the Umm don't have matzah, they only have chametz, is because they don't have the koyach to do what Klal Yisrael has to do, which is to let go of the Yetzer Hara, to push it off. Maybe it was only for 2 weeks, only for 8 days. Okay, 8 for 7 days is also an accomplishment. That's what Ramchal says in Derech Hashem, The Hashem said, I want Klal Yisrael to be able to deal with this world at its basic level. And when Klal Yisrael deals with the world basic level, that's the definition of Chavis. That's freedom. We're not tied down. We're not tied down to follow our compulsions. We have the ability to be able to say no, even if it's only for a week. We are the legions of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have the ability to be able to put aside our Yetzer Hara and connect ourselves to the basic Dal Shabbat, the simplest of all Karbonos. Just a milcha, just by itself. I told you a story that I heard about Moshe and matzah baking. I told it once before. It was worth repeating. At that point, I was driving from Borough Park to Flatbush a number of years ago, and I met the Salib Nerub was one of the yeshivas of Tzikul. It was his father. So his father was one of the yeshivas in Tervadas. I saw him standing on.
The one was just nifty?
Yeah.
It was just nifty.
No, it was Nifter. He was a yeshiva in Tervadas for many years. And he was standing on the bus stop on 50th and 15th Avenue. I realized he's probably heading towards Tervadas. So I stopped and asked him if he wants to ride to Tervadas. He says, of course. So we started talking because my father's one of us who used to go matzah back by Salem on the Lower East Side for a matzah bakery. So we had lots of conversations. Anybody never met the old Salem Nerub? His father, the Rosh Hashiv's father, missed a unique person. He was a person who, by the matzah baking, was running around non-stop, checking on every single step, yelling and screaming and pointing out, making everything. It was a sight to see. The fire that was inside of him by matzah baking was amazing to see. So the last thousand was Sukula told me, he says, when he was a bocher, he would go after yeshiva in the afternoon during this time of the year. He'd go help his father out at the matzah bakery. He walked into the matzah bakery in the afternoon. There was Chabur baking matzahs, and his father says, I can't hold on to it anymore. They're destroying my matzahs. They're destroying my matzahs. I can't. He says, I'm getting sick from this. He said, I said, Tata, tell me what's going on. Get the kicker rein. Chabur friend, I don't even want to say the yeshiva. Chabur friend, there, yeshiva there, and the matzahs. He says, I walked in, and they were standing after the matzahs came out of the oven. They were standing in Gaman with a Mishnah Berurah, and he'd pick up a matzah and look at the Mishnah Berurah, break off a piece. Yeah, okay, yeah, break it. He's ruining all the matzahs. There's not going to be any Hashleim's matzahs. There's not going to be anything for them to take. He's destroying my matzahs. At that moment, Moshe Feinstein walks into the bakery. He has the next chabur. He walks in. Nobody said a word. He's standing a man with a matzah, Mishnah Berurah, the son of Rav, and the son. Moshe looks at him and says, he walks over to young man. He says, young man, the chumash that are in the Mishnah Berurah are not referring to our matzahs. Our matzahs in halacha are called rikikin dakin, thin crackers. All of the cheshados we have, kfulos and nefuchos, and right? It's not our matzahs. They're talking about those little matzahs where people didn't have a HaRav, and the people didn't know how to roll out the matzahs, didn't know how to make all. So there were all those shilos that took place with matzahs. Baruch Hashem, we've shown her what those matzahs look like. Yeah, we do know what those matzahs. He says, our matzahs are kicking dakin. All the chumash that the shilos that the Mishnah Berurah talks about, most of them are not negated to our matzahs. Let me finish the story. Okay. So he says, this is what Moshe tells young man standing there with the Mishnah Berurah. He says, it's not a gear. This young man, besides making matzahs with the Orach Chaim, You have to make matzahs with cheshem mishpat also. It says, you haven't paid for those matzahs yet. So every time you break a matzah, you're ruining his matzahs. You're stealing money from him because the shwarm is not to be able to get the same amount of money from him. He says, so you have no just to break his matzahs. He says, I take my matzahs home, I check them, and every once in a while I find a shad and I break it off, okay? But that's after I paid for them. They're my matzahs. You're breaking his matzahs. So it's the brech zayin of matzahs. Says to tell some that, yeah, but they have to make matzahs with cheshem mishpat also. He says, you see, Moshe didn't need anybody to tell him what to do.
The son of sold the matzah baker.
He sold the matzah
He
baker.
sold the matzah baker.
Yeah. It's already gone through several different owners. But,
Yeah,
but it's the same.
The family has to like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. No, listen, we know by our own personal experience that in order to big matzah like we got to be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. No, yeah, it's not shy. Right? It wouldn't be that I grew up with it. I have pictures of my nephews, little boys, making matzah from 1,000 because you see with the amount of detail that we have to go through in order to be able to produce. This is, we have a special siyata d'shmaya. Danny Graber told me that he was in 5 towns for a Shabbos. And they were staying together with, they were sitting at the table together with another family, and that's where do you Flatbush, Rabbi Twerski says, this is the wife who's already a mother and children. Says, you bake matzah, Rabbi Twerski. It was my favorite thing when they took me in high school. I'll never forget it. L'shem matzah. She hasn't forgotten it yet. One time in high school, this is a mother of children already. Never forgot the imprint. Effective matzahs. So this is this long kli yakar over here. If you want to have a market time, go through the inyan. This kli yakar should be said at the seder because we have a tendency. We start off with the abrakosis and the manishtanos and the 15 steps. So everybody's singing. By the time we get to eat matzahs, everybody just wants to let's eat matzahs and get sit down to the meal already. But the ikar of the seder. The ikar of the seder, it's the matzah. The matzah is what gives us chayros. Yeah, there's a Mississippi season. But the essence of Pesach is the chayros, which is all represented by matzah, which is basically the korban mincha. So one piece of the korban mincha we still have it with the dalach of we're at the basic level, which then becomes the basis for everything that we have, for all korbanos. So we can say the word from, we take that piece of matzah, we take with a little bit more. We say, "King also ill." As much as we get, why are we doing that? Because we want to be as close to the korban Pesach as possible. So we're ready. All right, we're missing only one ingredient. We have matzah more, and we're doing karech, right? We have. So we're waiting for the korban mincha to come, put down the korban mincha so we can eat together with the matzah. So he says that's the reason why the shtei lechem has to be chametz on Shavuos, because we have to know that the Torah is both the Yetzer, both the Torah and both the Torah. I created the Yetzer, but I created the antidote. I created the medicine. The medicine is Torah. It says on Shavuos when we're talking about also Torah, you have to have chametz in front of you. So you can say the difference, This is chametz, and Torah gives us chaos, Torah gives us freedom. She says, "V'zeh tam golos Mitzrayim." This was the whole purpose of the going into Mitzrayim, lachniim, the core only to purify us in the what's it called, the smelter, the fire of Mitzrayim. Because once we are purified, we were able to go out to freedom from all of the nations of the world. Therefore, we were able to go into it. So it wouldn't have been that we went out, that we had cheres, that we went into Mitzrayim and became purified in our avodas Hashem, we would have never received the Torah. We only received the Torah because we were taken down to the basics. There was nothing left for us except for lechem oini. So we had lechem oini in Mitzrayim. So Hashem says, "Now you're ready." When you're at that level, when there's nothing left for us to be able to say that there's a purpose in enjoying the luxuries of this world, simple for the sake of luxuries, we wouldn't have been able to go on. That's why. Okay, Chaim's coming with it. It's already hot, Chaim. Still cold? Okay, so what about the edges?
What I do with them. I don't know. Still improvements. It's good. It's good like this. I'll bring up the rest.
It's good like this. The bottom is hot.
Yeah, the middle is.
Okay, so we won't need the middle.
Okay.
Bring it. We'll leave the bottom.
Let's get started. Open. It's like her.
You just have to keep over your hand by hand. That's, and my father's going to said this many times over the years, and to say that he says, if you take a look at the revolutions that have taken place in human history, every single revolution, the underdog, the slave, freed himself from the master and adopted the master's culture. Well, right. What language are we speaking? English. What was we English? We rebelled against English. It was just a continuation. It was just, instead of having that king, we make a different king. Instead of having that parliament, we have a different, we'll call it a Congress. But it's basically the English system. Same thing happened. Greece, Rome rebelled against Greece, took over Greek culture. Every single revolution that's taken place in human history, the slave fought for freedom, adopts the culture of the master. Only one time it didn't. Call yourself from his time. That's why you said to Seder. If Hashem wouldn't have taken us out, we would still been slaves to Parah because we would still think like Mitzrayim. Klal Yisrael went through the process of Mitzrayim, goes from Mitzrayim, in order to be able to come out, not to think like Mitzrayim, not to get caught up in the indulgence of the opulence and the corruption of moral behavior. So, Chaim, right? You can hand me a plate and a fork. Yeah.
Or it's better, better.
It doesn't make a difference. Oh.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's a hot piece.
But they didn't retain Egyptian culture because they retained their language, their dress, and their speech.
Those are the things that kept us from being totally immersed. And because the schools of fact that we kept those differences,
That's why
and that's why the Chet Egel was so bad. Why was the Chet Egel so significant? It's a small portion of Klal Yisrael. Maybe not even been in Klal Yisrael was the Erev. And that should have such an impact because they slipped us back into Mitzrayim. They brought Mitzrayim with them, and we didn't. And we felt.
Isn't Mitzrayim also a shar?
Hmm?
Isn't Mitzrayim a shar? I don't think it's like because the egel is different now.
Right. Yeah, the egel is the shore. It represents the avodas of Mitzrayim. That's why the Hatum knew how to do it. They knew how to make it. They knew how to make it. Lefikach, there's din chametz b'streifa. That's why you have to burn the chametz. Right? You can't keep the chametz. You have to burn it. B'davka fire. Because the Gemara says whoever gets caught up in a gaiva will ultimately get consumed by the fire of the gaiva. So it says, anybody says, I want to be as great as a carbon, I want to be able to be, I am the master of carbonis. Says Nidon Beish, because the carbon is to reassure for us to see how insignificant we are. And therefore the carbon was completely given, was completely burnt. So we should know that when there's a piece of our world, but with there's only one way to deal with the world, that's to burn, to let it go completely. Not to hold on to even a master of it.
They burnt the bones too?
The
bones
burned, they burnt everything.
That was out the Parah, is the biggest animal, like the most ostentatious, animal.
Lefikach, there he goes on God to say, that's why the Isra of Chametz, even on a drop, it's not buckling, not even an elef, not even 1,000. Mashu of Chametz, right? Because when we come to Midah, so that we need to reflect the Kodesh Baruch Hu, what we learn from Matzah is no gaiva. All of we turn about us to the Kodesh Baruch Hu. So therefore we can daven for the Gula because of the Gula Asher Gal Yisrael, and we smile for the Gula Hasidah because we just recognize that that's what gives us a connection to Kodesh Baruch Hu is freedom from the Yitzhar. That's the whole avodah of the karbonos avodah. It's the basic avodah of karbonos. It's the basic avodah of chametz and pesach. And that's the reason why Chazal tell us that you should be very, very humble. The moed have a shvachu, you have to say very much, very much. So lachika mikol v'kol, and to be able to make sure that we are our freedom, as the Gemara says in the Alexandria, Yetzar mashal l'sar shebeisa, right? Because it's a little bit of fermentation that makes the flour expand. That's on Pesach. We disconnect from it. Oh. Not tonight.
What?
Not tonight. Not tonight. Then he gets into that's therefore the carbon oil, which is the first carbon that the Kohanim had to bring, was completely burnt. There's nothing completely let go of it. Carbon oil. So at the end of the Parsha, the final instructions of the Parsha to Kohanim is Mepesach oil moed lo say sushi was coming. These 7 days of Chanukas of Mishkan. Stay in, don't step outside. Don't step outside. Stay for 7 days. Stay in the Mishkan. Ad Yom Melech Melechim, until the Meluim with the Shiva Meluim were done. Yeshiva Shom Yamal, because it takes 7 days for you to become ready to be filled, to be able to fill with your purpose of your avodah. Like you did that first day that Moshe Rabbeinu turned over to taught them how to do the korbanos. That's the way they have to do it every single day. Therefore, you stay in the for 7 days straight. Make sure that you are guarding that which Hashem gave you to guard. Because that's the mitzvah. And Aaron and the sons did everything that Moshe Rabbeinu told them. And as we talked about last week, that Kasher Siv Hashem Moshe, which was repeated in Parshas 18 times, negative 18 brachos of Shemona Esrei. It's Kasher Siv Hashem that when Klal Yisrael did everything in the Mishkan, every malacha that they did in the Mishkan, is Kasher Siv Hashem Moshe, and everything that Aaron and the sons did, they were yelling, L'Shem, L'Shem, Mitzvos Moshe. Everything they did was L'Shem, Kasher Siv Hashem Moshe. And so the Ramban says that not only did they do Siv Hashem Moshe taught Klal Yisrael because they did not know how to. These were not artisans. These were not people who knew how to weave or how to make gold and silver and to create the Mishkan. Says all they had to do was come to the Rebbeinu and say, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe, I want to. Then Hashem said, you want to? Then Hashem will give you the chacham. And we've seen that many times throughout our. It's not how much a person knows; it's who the person knows. Right? Who you know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You got everything. It's not what you know; it's who you know. If you know that it comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then there's haslach. We don't know. We don't remember that it comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All the rest of haslach becomes meaningless. That the Moshe gave over to Klal Yisrael every single step of the process, not only what to do, but how to do it, and the shame for what purpose to do it, and they did it completely the same as Hashem. That's why the Mishkan was able to be built al pi nes, and that's why the Beis Hamikdash, every single step of the Beis Hamikdash, both the two Beit Hamikdash were done al pi nes, and the Gula Shlishi should be Beis Hamikdash Shlishi al pi nes, because when we allow HaKadosh Baruch to do it, then HaKadosh Baruch does it. When we believe that the politicians are going to give us a relief, we're asking for the wrong person. Yeah, this Shabbos we'll be able to step with that one step or more step ready for Pesach. And Sunday we start with Shem Matzis. We have a million? Good.